Good morning. These candles are the one we use in the shelters because they're the cheapest kind of candles in the country. So I wanted to share with you the light. You made me too emotional.
I go away?
No. It's okay. So, the first light I've ever witnessed. And I brought extra candles for those who want to take one with them. Okay, I'm gonna breathe.
Why don't we all breathe a moment?
Yes. Take one. Observe the candlelight.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to tell you a story. And that story is like a scene, maybe an opening scene of a film. And after that, I'm going to ask you to do the same. Not to copy what I said, but to understand that cinematography is you and a reflection on a big screen through the light, because without light there's no image. And no matter how dark it gets, you always need a little light so you can reflect and project that image on screen, right? Technically, I'm saying. So, I wish we can be even in a darker mood, but this is the darkest we could get right now. So I'm gonna start with the story, and after that, you will understand where I'm going, okay? You know the baby lens? Have you ever seen a baby lens? It's a lens that has the ability to blur the edges and to focus selectively on places. And it's a long lens, it's a 50, you have the 90 millimeter lens. I'm explaining because this is the lens by which this scene will unfold. And it's a flexible lens. So the head of it can tilt and pan as if it's somebody moving their head. But you don't really move the camera, you just move the lens. I hope one day you will use it because it's a very poetic lens. But for now, this is the way I remember waking up to the world through that lens. So the scene starts with a close-up on a candle being lit. The image is slightly blurry, slightly in focus. It's like unsettling a little bit. It's in slow motion, 50 frames per second to be precise. And we hear in the background of this shot, we hear in the background gunshots, gunfires, but far away, distant. We hear a little bit sounds of the city, maybe, I remember ambulance. Ambulance, okay. And then the image shifts to a woman, a young woman, 19 years old, blonde with green eyes, looking down directly into the lens. And we hear the sound a baby would make before they sleep, like they're struggling to sleep, but like stuff like that. And we understand at that point it's a POV of a baby. And it's a very close-up, extreme close-up on the eyes of the mother looking directly at the lens, at the camera, at that baby, smiling. We feel the smile in her eyes, we don't see her lips. And she starts singing a lullaby. And the image is shifting between blurry and in focus, and moving a little bit, like losing the mother, coming back to the mother, and the baby is focusing on the sound of the lullaby that the mother is singing. And then at some point we hear a whistling of like a bomb crossing. You know, when you hear the whistle, it means the bomb is not coming to you, it's crossing above you. And the camera moves to the window, and we see a building facing the room of the baby. On that building, on the balcony, there is an old man smoking a cigarette with a candlelight because there is no electricity. I mean, it's all dark. And then the camera comes back from that sound, from the whistling of the bomb and the vision, the blurry vision of that old man on the balcony, comes back as if the mom is turning the face of the baby towards her face, and she's making sure the baby's focusing on her and her voice, her lullaby. And then at some point the gunfires become closer and more sharper and more threatening, and the baby wants to move, and the mom is holding the camera, the face of the baby, to focus on her, and then the camera tilts down on her mouth, and we are not in sync because she's moving her mouth, but the sound is in normal speed, the image is in slow motion. There is a disturbance in the connection between sound and image. And then at some point, another bomb comes and explodes not so far away, and the mother carries the baby and the camera, baby, and carries the baby like that, and the baby is now focusing on the face of the mother, who is now in a panic mode. So she runs to the corridor, where basically we have the illusion of being safer. She runs to the corridor, the camera is now almost, it's dark. The mother takes a torchlight, and this is where we have light again. We can see some details. She lights her own face to let the baby feel safe, and then she opens the door to run through the staircase, and this is where like 10 other torchlights appear with people running down the stairs, and all we can see is through the POV of that baby a game of light, a blurry, in focus, sharp light playing, and the baby is smiling, and you hear the baby making sounds as if it's seen a constellation of stars moving down the stairs, although in the sound you hear screaming and panic and other children crying, but in the point of view of that baby, it's a constellation of light and stars moving. And the mother keeps running to go down. We're on the 4th floor, we're going down to the basement, and the stars keep going, and then the baby shifts to the face of the mother, who is in panic, who is screaming, but for the baby, there is no sound. This is where the sound goes out. The moment the constellation starts, we lose the sound. It becomes a mute, so the baby only sees in slow motion the panic of people, but the focus is on the light that is moving around on the staircase. And it's a one-shot, as you noticed. We're still going down the stairs, and at some point, we hear the neighbors saying, turn off the lights, they will see us. Because there is windows in the staircase, and everybody turns off the light. We're in total darkness, and we hear a huge explosion. This is my first memory, and I did not choose which lens I'm going to use. I remembered the lens. I saw it through. I saw this scene through this lens. I just happened, and it's not an accident that I became a cinematographer, because visuals for me are always safe. It's sound that is not safe. So when I'm creating or filming or choosing the light of a scene, I'm not thinking intellectually about what do you think, which is the best angle, what is the best light I'm choosing. I'm becoming the scene. I'm becoming the space. I'm wondering in that space, with that character that is in front of me. I am with them in that space. Which light that character that was created out of supposedly fiction, but I'm sure you don't create anything purely out of fiction. It's all bits and pieces of memories that transformed into characters and stories. If you really sit with yourself, you realize that you don't create anything. You become different versions that can be projected on a screen. So cinematography is not a technical work. It's a remembrance. It's a moment where you become the frame and you become the space you see in that frame, and you become the characters because they are you. And then in that moment when you know who you are and you know who they are and you know why that you have created them, automatically the answers will come to you. Which lens, what kind of light, if I'm moving, if I am still, if I am just observing, if I am inside the action on handheld or not. These are not intellectual decisions. This is a moment for me. This is how I live cinematography. This is how I am as a cinematographer. I become the story I read, I become the characters, and I ask myself, would that character rather be in sunlight or in the shade? If I was that character, where would I be? Would I have practical lamps in my house or just a bulb hanging down the ceiling? Not because the practical lamps are more beautiful to see, because they are more, what is the most honest light that person can be in, that renders who they are? And I see a lot of directors struggling to recognize their cinematic language and trying to rely on a DOP who is a technical expert to give them answers. It's an illusion. Nobody is an expert. Nobody. The more you know who you are, the less technical you become, and the less concerned you are about if your choices are right or wrong. You are making the most honest choice you can at this moment in time. The DOP can know how to carry the camera, how to move the camera if you ask them to move it. They can propose different texture, different lenses. You can do tests before you shoot so you know what kind of feeling you want. They can collaborate with the colorist to manage that image to give you the most honest rendition, not the sexiest rendition, not the most original rendition. I mean, there is nothing more original than you being yourselves. And if you are yourself, then your film will be a reflection of who you are. The illusion that a cinematographer is an expert in things you know nothing about, you have to destroy that belief system completely. You don't need to be a cinematographer to recognize your cinematic language. You need to be a human being who is in a good relationship with themselves. And then the language appears. So in this scene that I described, it's maybe the first scene I remember. But then after that, that candlelight was my companion in the shelter, when I'm studying, when I'm reading, and in the shelter there was like hundreds of them. So imagine the game of the light, the sometimes if it's hot we put a fan, and if we put the fan, the candlelight is dancing all the time. And for me, this was my focus. Everybody else was out of focus. That fear, that panic, that concern, that complaining. I had a beautiful option which is called the mute option. This is why now my favorite game is to watch your films in mute. Not because sound is not important, sound is another story, sound is another layer. But in order for me to understand and to tolerate darkness, I had to focus on just a little light. And this is how a film is born. Just a little light, which means one scene at a time, 1 second at a time, 1 minute at a time, one movement at a time. You don't have to have all the answers all at once. It's something that's being built as you are building yourself to become the person who can bring that film to life. It's really remembering why you're doing it in the first place. Not to prove anything. You don't need to prove anything. You're enough the way you are, but because you enjoy the game, it has to be fun. If I go on a shoot and the director is too serious and thinking that he is the center of the universe and he knows what he wants, I'm bored. We're here to explore together, to create together, to question things, to remove what is not essential in every scene instead of adding up things to try to say something symbolically on purpose. It's the removing of things, the removing of elements, the removing of light, not the adding to the light. And it's not by accident that you have one sun during the day and one moon during the night. There's one light that matters. The rest is like continuation of the effect of that light, the impact of that light. So you are in silhouette for me, because there's a light behind you. You have a beautiful rim light here on your face. So when you look at each other now, or you look at me, or I look at you, I am storing in my visual gallery, I am storing lights that I can reproduce with my eyes closed, not because I am a great cinematographer, because I can see the light for what it is. I can feel it on your faces. I can feel each light, what it's making me feel about you. Each one of you is in a different light. And this is the beauty of life. We cannot choose by intellect only and think that, let's do this film in one shot because then it will be sexy and I'll show them what I can do. This is not a show reel. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters unless the only thing that matters for me is authenticity. And if you're authentic, you will create what you can create at this moment in time, and you love it in all its imperfection, because nothing is perfect. Perfection is an illusion. It's a sickness. It has to be imperfect. It's beautiful because it's imperfect. But if it's honest and imperfect, then it's genius. If it's honest, simple, and imperfect, then it is genius. So don't complicate things. Don't carry the burden of making a film. Become the film. And then you will fly. Then you will float. Then it will happen like it is your birthright. You are born to be, you chose to be an audiovisual artist. You chose to use the audiovisual language to express yourselves. Then it is your birthright. Then nobody can tell you if you can or cannot do it. If you are worthy, your stories are worthy or not worthy. No one has the right to say that. We can only advise you on how to look at yourself differently. But nobody can tell you if you're right or wrong. No one. And this is for me what cinematography is. It's an act of projecting yourself on screen, because in the end there is no others. I mean, we're plenty of people here, but there are no others. I see you the way I see myself. You see me the way you see yourself. And eventually we'll go back home and we'll remember that we all come from the same place and going back to the same place, which is, for me, it is the light. So it's beautiful that we separate in order to rediscover the world through each other, and then we come back home and laugh about it. So let's not make a big deal out of this. You don't need money to make films. You need talent, you need passion, you need commitment, you need a constellation of stars to come together and say, we'll make it happen. And so your perception about money has to change. Money is energy. It's not something that you lack. It's something that will come to you because you trust that it will come to you. And the answers, the cinematic answers, the language, the filmmaking, the storytelling is something, it's a part of you. It's not a know-how. If you think it's a know-how you need to acquire, then it will always be outside of you. So, Are you understanding what I'm saying? Okay, so I'm going to ask you now, the directors, forgive me, producers, I can't give space for all of us to do that, but you can do it personally between yourselves. I'm going to ask each director to choose a scene, a moment in time they remember, and to describe it to me as a cinematographer, because I will be filming that scene. So I want to see it, I want to feel it, I want to become it. Okay? So who's going to start? A scene. It can be 1 minute.
A scene from the film or a scene from life?
It can be from their life. It can be from their film. It can be whatever you want it to be. The first audiovisual memory that comes to you that you can describe as someone who is an audiovisual artist. Who is, because audiovisual is a language like Italian, French, Lebanese, whatever. It's a language, and if we are all here, it's because we all speak it. Okay? Who's gonna start?